Hello, once again. Welcome to the Tuesday's edition of the program Shagalinku TV. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and it's good to have all of you here. We're still streaming live from the city of Maiduguri, Borno State, in the northeast part of Nigeria. So we're still here and trying to do a few things in the IDP camp and do some humanitarian work. Welcome once again to the program, like I said. And today we'll be looking at young people. We'll be looking at how they can, leverage on their potentials to deliver a better country. The NSAS protest just rolled by a couple of weeks past, and the lessons we're beginning to learn from that is that we can have this kind of synergy and also use it come 2023. So today we're looking at how young people can leverage on the potentials they have to deliver a better country. Because the truth about it all is countries world over, the young people, the youth are the major population. Okay, I have my guest here, Mr. Kingsley Bangwell. He's an ASHOKA fellow. He's the founder of Youngstars Foundation, and he lives in Abuja. And together, we'll be discussing this topic. You can also drop your comments in the comment section. Questions for our guests, whatever you think you want to contribute to the topic. If you're a young person and you think you have some solutions to the problems bedeviling young people, especially in the African continent, please do share yours on the comment section and we'll be reading them. You can also send your SMS or your WhatsApp message on the number scrolling on the screen, but it is +234 8054383460. I have my guest here, and let me bring him on to talk with us. Good afternoon, sir. Okay.
My mic is muted.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Welcome to
that's
the
okay. That's
program.
okay. Sure, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. Good to have you, sir. K.
Yeah. There's no sir here. There's no any sir.
We
Yeah.
popularly know you as Sir K, so I'm just letting the cat out of the
I
bag
don't know
so
where
that
that
they
is coming
know
from. I don't know where that is coming from. I'm just K,
it's coming
man.
from Meduguri.
Just K. K works. K works.
Okay.
So how is today, man?
You're
How
a
is
man of
Meduguri?
Meduguri is fine,
Okay.
peaceful, and going. Though a lot of tension everywhere, but then we had to go to the IDP camps, and so much is coming out of there. It
Yeah.
just reflects back to what we all are going. The truth is, we're all in the IDP camps as well. So much insecurity
Somehow.
everywhere. Yeah. So if we're not bedeviling the area boys in Lagos, we are bedeviling the little arm robbers in our streets and all that. It's just a whole lot, and that's why I feel this topic is very relevant. And considering what you also do impacting on young people, I
Yeah.
think you're really in a very good position to tell us all that. But let's start with the basic.
Yeah.
Who is Mr. Kingsley Bangwell? A lot of people know you, but those who don't know you and our viewers watching across the globe, who is Kingsley Bangwell?
All right. Well, one more time, thanks, Emmanuel, for having me on the show. So glad, and I really commend what you're doing. So, my name is Kingsley Bangwell. I like to say I'm a youth development specialist or youth development enthusiast. I'm passionate about young people. I'm passionate about youth development. I am the founder of Youngstars Development Initiative, a youth NGO that I've been running now for the past 20 years plus. I'm also an ASHOKA Fellow, Young Global Leader of the World Economic Forum, and most recently, my new adventure is the KNOSK 100 Naira a Day Secondary School project. KNOSK 100 Naira a Day Secondary School is designed to reach children from low-income families and give them quality education at 100 Naira a day. So for 100 Naira a day, the kids get uniform, books, lunch, the girls get sanitary pad, and on top of that, they are getting quality education. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm married, got married, happily married. I'm passionate about God. I coordinate the teens in my local church, the local church where I serve. I'm also the teens coordinator. I talk passionately about family issues on radio every Sunday evening. So this is just a little bit about me. Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a pleasure having you once again, and I
Yeah.
like the fact that you talked about Youngster Foundation because we'll also be looking at the role young people can play. So much energy is being wasted. That is my concern about all this. If young
Yeah.
people have, if young people find how to leverage on the
Yeah.
energy they waste on some frivolous things, we'll be having a better country. Take for instance, let's even go into politics. Why are
Yeah.
young people not interested in politics? Because we can't be talking about development when the particular demography is also not making move to take their space. Now, we're not saying like when they talk about women empowerment and women tell us that we're not asking that men and women be equal. But what we are saying is that as you give men opportunities, also allow women to prove themselves. So why are young people not taking that space in the political sphere and say, you know what, we are young people, we're not asking you to go away, but we're telling you that anything when it comes to young people, anything when it comes to youth development, we want to be in the forefront and we want our voices heard.
Yeah. Well, I we could debate this conversation whether young people really want to get involved in politics. I do believe that the last decade we saw a significant increase in the number of young people who are beginning to realize that youth participation in politics is vital. As you may know, I've spent the last 20 or 15 years of my life on that subject, running workshops all over Nigeria and across Africa, display projects, canvassity projects. All of them were around youth participation in politics and governance. Then the Young Aspirants Leadership Fellowship, the first of its kind in the country, we started in 2013, training young people to run for office. We had over 200 participants who participated, or 100 and something thereabout in 2013 and 14. They participated in that training funded by UNDP. And then a couple of them tried to run for office. In 2018, 17, and 18, we were funded by Ford Foundation to train 384 youths in northern Nigeria to run for office. A good number of them did, and about 23 of them won office in 5, 6 states House of Assembly. The point I'm making is that then you have the Not Too Young to Run bill by Yaiga that's now reduced the age. So the point I'm making is that we have seen a surge. There is a surge in the number of young people who want to run for office. So, and we need to commend that. But maybe the question we should be asking, what are the barriers? There are several barriers. One of it was a constitutional barrier, which Yaiga, through the Not Too Young to Run bill, has tried to address, even though the parliamentarians, ambushed that policy, because it was when it was being signed or so that we discovered that they didn't actually reduce the ages across board the way that the Not Too Young to Run movement pushed for. But at least there was some milestones. So number one, legislation, which to a large extent has been addressed and is being addressed. That's one. But again, let's look at the structure, the kind of politics we run, and the political party. Engage the political parties, you will see that many political parties may have a youth wing, but they don't have a youth policy. I can tell you that for a fact because we worked with political parties during the 2017, 2018, 2019 wing. A lot of them don't have a youth policy. A lot of them don't even have a membership strategy, how to drive membership and get young people in place. And then the way the political parties are also designed is been designed in such a way that when a young person comes in, it's nearly impossible for you to get into leadership positions or even become a party flag bearer, especially for the predominant parties. So the and again, interestingly, based on our constitution and the kind of election democracy and electoral democracy that we run, political party is a major vehicle through which you can get into political office. They threw out the independent candidates bill during the electoral reform. So those are some of the barriers young people are facing. The political parties are not youth friendly, and then the cost of running for office. It's I mean, it's very, very high, very, very expensive. So those are some of the barriers that is preventing young people from actually making headway. But I can tell you for sure that there is interest. There's an increasing interest, and whatever we started in the last decade, this decade is going to fast track it. You're going to see serious surge and a leapfrog in the number of young people exploring, not just exploring, but winning political office.
Yeah, thank you very much. And in case you just joined us, the program is Shagalinku TV. This is the Tuesdays edition. It comes every Tuesdays and Saturdays. And today we have a guest in the house, Kingsley Bangwell. He's an ASHOKA fellow. He's a founder of the Youngstars Foundation. And we're looking at how young people, youth generally, can leverage on their potentials to deliver a better country. You can also share the video right now, drop your comments, and comments are already coming in, and we'll be reading them. If you have questions for our guests, please do feel free to drop them and he'll be responding to them. Now, Kingsley, let me also ask this because it's very important, being that you're someone who's been so impactful in youth development. So why are we not having, okay, let me put it this way. So there is an election, and then 6 months to election, you find young people coming out as candidates. Now, if you follow, political political space is like a career to very many people, so they build politicians, seasoned politicians build their career over time. So someone who even wants to run in the next 8 years starts doing weddings, starts sponsoring women to school, starts doing this, start doing that. They keep throwing their faces on all of us, and we're saying that, but they may not even come out to tell you that they want to run. And then 4 years to the time, you start seeing them more frequently. 2 years to the time, and then 1 year to, and they tell you their people are asking them to come out. But with the young people, all we see is 6 months to the time, we just see flyers everywhere, and then a whole lot of noise and social media and all that. And that was why I even brought that topic, because if you go to political parties, how many young people are even card carrying members? So there's also rancor within the political parties because young people just spring up from nowhere and then want to take offices. I believe that if we are able to also conscientize young people to say, you know what, it doesn't really matter about 2023. Just start building your brand. It's like a brand. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter. So how do we begin to make young people get interested in politics?
So you just touched a very, very vital point, which is this idea that just a year or 6 months to the election, we start seeing posters all over the place. And a lot of time, um, from the reports of the first Young Aspirant Leadership Fellowship we did in 2013 and 2014, one of the lessons learned was from the survey was young people actually acknowledged that they did not start early. Some of them started 6 months at the time and all of that. Again, the same thing happened in 2017, 18, 19, when we did the YAF program. The survey again communicates that many young people did not start early. So I agree with you. We can't overemphasize the point that if you have your eye on political office, you need to have a long-term strategy. It's not a sprint. You need to have a long-term strategy, especially when you're likely going to be competing with what I would want to call, like Emmanuel said, career politicians, people that have been in that space. They've gone through the ranks. They are known at the community. They are known at the party level. They've served time. They've made investment and all of that. Parties always talk about loyalty. So it's something young people need to start getting interested in. The way you are a loyal, active member of a football club, you are. A lot of young people are members. They've been following certain football clubs in Europe and different parts of the world for years. They follow those parties religiously. They watch the parties' matches. They can fight physically. They can fight on Facebook over packed football clubs. If you're serious about politics, if you're serious about
Yeah.
getting into the political space, you need to bring the same energy. You need to bring the same fervor. You need to find a political party to join. And when you join that political party, not to be passive, get involved, attend meetings, make your voice heard, contribute financially, intellectually, physically. You need to be seen by the party to be involved and loyal. It counts for something. And then when now there is a political space, a contest, you can now bring yourself forward. And the party will say, based on antecedents, you understand? And this is especially for
Those
yeah,
support.
this is especially for the
Yeah.
serious political parties. You may get away with a new party that is just new, and maybe you have some resource, and the party does not even have structures and the rest. So you can come in if you have resource, and then get to become the party's flag bearer. But for a serious party and the well-established party, if you come in, you will need to invest to be able to build traction and be able to present yourself. That's on one side of it. The other side of it is that young people need to be active at the community level because, like we say, politics is local. It's not a slang. It's not a nice, fancy phrase. It's real.
True.
You want to run for office, and you know the way our party system, our electoral system is from the ward level to the local government to the state and all of that. Depending on the office you're running for, the community where you are or where you want to run from should know you. And like you said, if you're thinking 2023, by now you should already have a long-term goal, things you're doing in the community for the community to know you. The community has got to know you. You got to map the community. The community has different demographic: the men, the women, the young people, the females, and the market women, the road transport users, the artisans. These are different, the religious community leaders and all of that, the students. You map all of this and have a 2-3 year strategy. How do I begin to engage with these people and build relationship? So that what happens is that when election is closed, they already know you. When they start seeing your flyers and your posters, they know you. If they don't know you, they just see your flyer 6 months to the election. The assumption is that, okay, you don't come back. All right, this is business opportunity. You don't have a connection with them. So obviously you're going to have to spend money trying to buy votes and all of that. So for young people, it's long term. It's not a sprint. And you need to build traction at the party level, but you also need to build traction at your community level.
Okay, beautiful one there. Thank you so much. Some messages are here. So let me quickly get this. If you can see this here, Kingsley, I would like you to read this and respond to it. It's from Mozamil Adamu. Please help us read.
All right, so this is Muzamil, right? Muzamil. Man, the spelling of your name is powerful. Double Z, double M, great name. So you say we are not talking about gender equality, we are talking about gender equity. I understand what he's trying to say. I'm a youth, and my ambition is to run for office of House of Representative. I need a good advice on my ambition. I don't know which state or part of the country or which country you're even calling from. The first, like I said, do you belong to a party? You need to belong to a political party. And if you belong to a political party, don't just be card carrying member that they don't see. You need the way you follow a football team or anything you are part of. If you're running a business, the way you go to your business space every day to make sure your business is working, you need to be as serious as that in the political party. The political party need to see you at the state level, at the community level, at the world level. They need to know you. And it's not about money. I'm talking about they need to know you. They need to see you in the meetings. They need to hear your voice when they're having conversation. You need to contribute. And when the party is going out to do activities, you need to participate. You also need to use your platform to encourage people to join the party. Because this is what happens. If you have a lot of followers in the party, when it's time for even choosing party ESCO, do you know you can win a slot because you have people you have brought into the party? So party is critical. And then the community, you need to start serving the community through community projects, community activities, and all of that. For instance, INEC is announcing the start of continuous voters registration. You need to work in your community to make sure a lot of young people go out and get that the voters card. You need to do that because those are the people you're going to need to vote for you. So it's a long-term plan. If it's 2023 you're thinking about, you should have had a plan by now, and you should have started putting together a small team and start building on it. This is an area I'm passionate about, so this is my immediate thoughts. But if you want more conversation, we can talk off the session, and I'll share a couple of thoughts, some more with you on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let me also say here that the comment section is free. Keep dropping your comments there, and we'll be reading them as we converse with our guests. Today, we're looking at how young people, the youth, actually can leverage on their potentials to deliver a better country for you and I, and even for the generation unborn. Like they always say that the youth are leaders of tomorrow. We say no, it's now and never.
Yes, so
So
we're
let
leading
me
now.
also true. So I want us to talk a little more about what Youngstars does, because it's been a frontliner when it comes to youth development. A whole lot of activists who are in the front line today had one moment of passing through the tutelage of Youngstars Foundation, and we can see all the results replicating in so many of the alumni that have been on this. So tell us a little more about Youngstars. What are current ongoing projects, if there are? What are young people supposed to also look out for? Where can we find Youngstars Foundation? And a whole lot more before we even go on to talk about how young people can even begin to leverage on their potentials.
Yeah. So the Youngsters Foundation is a youth-focused NGO. I used to say a youth-led NGO when I was a youth. I'm no longer a youth.
Younger, yeah.
So I'm now an adult. So I'm a youth. It's a youth-focused NGO because I still run the NGO. And we have four thematic areas. One is leadership development, two is youth and civic participation, the three is gender advancement, and then number four is low cost education. We're passionate about providing low cost education. And across this area, we've been doing quite a lot. Like I already talked about the Young Aspirant Leadership Fellowship that we run to prepare young people to run for office. And we've trained nearly 500 young people doing that in the last two elections. We're also promoting youth participation, non-violence participation during the election with the project we were doing in partnership with Two Face Foundation. We also have a flagship project called Female and More, that is promoting self-esteem and leadership development among females. So we're asking females that they can be more, they can be anything they want to become. They should not allow cultural and religious and social stereotypes hold them back. There's a lot of stereotypes holding women back, and we're saying no, women should be free to unleash their fullest potentials and contribute to nation building, because women have a lot of amazing endowment, administrative leadership skills that, if allowed to express itself at a national level, will help us leapfrog development. So we run that program. It's called Female and More. It has a website. You go and participate in a 30-day self-esteem program to develop yourself, and you do projects. And the next edition is going to be first quarter next year. We'll be announcing that very soon. And then we currently run the 100 naira a day secondary school, where we're for children from low-income families in Kuje, here in the FCT. Our vision is to provide quality education for low-income kids, because those are going to be the future civil servants, future police, future army, future legislatures. And we're saying if they are not well developed through the educational farms that we have in name of schools, then they will come out not well equipped to help transform nation. Every nation is transformed by the quality of its people. So if you want to know whether a nation is great, look at the quality of its people. If you have great people, you will see great nation. If the nation is not functioning well, then it means that the people are not at their fullest potential. So these are some of the things that we do at the Youngsters Foundation.
Thank you very much, Kingsley.
Yep.
So let's
Yep.
even come back to the nitty-gritties. Some young people, some youth particularly might even have potentials and they may not know. So what
Yeah.
should they be looking out for? How can they also, because the point where a lot of young people also miss it is in terms of volunteering. They
Yeah.
don't also see that this is a huge way of building capacity, expounding your potentials. The new norm for young people is for every small thing you call them to do, the first thing they ask you is, wetin I go get? How much they
Yes.
want pay me? E go bring money. Abeg, I no come work to suffer o. And they just let themselves let opportunities slip by, and forgetting that people who are where they are today didn't really start off that way. How do we even begin to encourage young people to build their potentials, so to even bring it and leverage, and everyone brings like a conglomerate of potentials, and find a way of doing all that, because they might even have potentials and they themselves are their own enemies of it. What is potential if you're not exploring, if you're not mingling with others, if you're not synergizing with others? You just sit there and waiting for manners to fall from
To
heaven,
fall
which may
from
never
heaven.
happen anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, and I agree with you, Emmanuel. Every human being, so whether it's young or old, every human being was born with potential, raw capabilities. So what happens is that through life, at your early age, with the support of your parents, you are developing those potentials. Then you get to a point where you now take personal responsibility to further develop your those potentials, convert those raw energies, raw capabilities into expertise with which you can now provide service and exchange for remuneration. When someone goes to work for 30 days in an office every month, what is it doing? The person is going there to exchange their expertise, right? Their productivity in exchange for compensation. That's what happens, And then the higher your expertise, the higher your compensation. So basically, that's the idea. So young people need to understand that they have raw potentials. They are loaded with potentials. They are across different facets of life. They have potentials that is embedded in them. So that's the first thing they need to do. And so if you now know that you have potential, the question is, so how do I discover and develop? Because there are two different things. How do I discover my potentials? How do I develop my potentials? At the basic, if you ask me, is to just have the basic literacy skills, reading and writing skills. If you develop your reading and writing skills, that is part of developing your potentials. Because if you improve on your reading and writing skills, then it gives you an advantage to be able to access knowledge, to access a body of knowledge and a body of opportunities. Because sometimes you may see opportunities that can help you develop your potentials. But if you do not have basic skill to be able to understand and interpret that opportunity, then there's a problem. And so that's why I consider education, and that's why Youngster has decided to pivot towards education, because we discovered that this is the key, to really helping young people develop the first basic, skills, potential that they can use to unlock other potential. So if you now know that, okay, I have a great oratory skill, how do you develop that? And how do you use it to provide service? And as you continue to use it to provide service, you are not going to be rewarded for that. You understand? And that's what connects with what you talked about volunteering. Volunteering is such a powerful window or door to bigger opportunities. I give you a practical example. You go to an organization and say, I want to volunteer for something, I don't need to be paid. While you're volunteering, are you aware that you're learning skills? Because as you're volunteering, you're learning how to do something. And I'll give a practical example. My former IT staff who just finished, I think he just finished a 3 or 4 year course in Russia. We're in church together, and he finished secondary school. He goes to where they fix carpets. And one day I called him and said, instead of going there to fix carpet, why don't you come to my office and volunteer? How much do you need for transport? He told me, I said, okay, I'll give you the transport. So we're giving him transport to come to the office. He comes to the office, cleans, wash plates, do all of those things and all of that. And one day I called him, I said, do you know how to use a computer? I said, no. I said, okay, see that computer on that desk, start learning. And I told someone, let's start putting him through. And he showed interest. So he will come and do his normal cleaning. And when he finished cleaning, he goes and sits on the computer. To cut a long story short, he demonstrates so much interest. We spent money and sent him to a a web development program, finished and all of that. And he became Youngstars webmaster for about 7, 8 years. And then worked and raised money and got admission in Russia, paid his admission to go to Russia. And he's finishing his 4 year program right now. How did it start? Volunteering. And I mean, I can give several other examples. That volunteering opportunity helped him discover more about his capabilities, opened doors for him. He moved from just to us from just to Abuja with us. And today is Russia reading computer, tech development and all of that. And tomorrow now, if he goes abroad, I mean, if he gets a job in Facebook or something, somebody say he was lucky. No, he wasn't lucky. He took his destiny in his hand.
In his
He took
hands.
responsibility. He converted his abilities into a service and got compensated for it. He took it serious, and today this is where he is. So many young people all over the place, including those who just sell water, sell sugar cane. Those young people are loaded with potentials if they can, commit themselves and put the diligence that is
Harness it.
required
Yeah.
to harness it. Some of those kids can invent stuff. Some of those kids, if you put them through a tech program, it will shock you the kind of softwares they can develop and all of that. So we have a lot of young people loaded with potential. But like I said, it starts with understanding that as a human being, you are born with gifts, and then find how to identify, develop it, fine tune it, offer it as service, and then the rest is history.
Mm. Beautiful one. The comment sections are here, so please drop your comments and
Yeah,
we'll read it out. If you have questions for my guests, please do.
yeah,
Kingsley, I'll ask you this again.
yeah,
In your work with young people, sometimes when I ask my guests this, I don't only ask for the success stories. I like
yeah,
also hearing the challenges because sometimes
yeah.
people don't see the scar behind the shine, so to say. What are some of the challenges? Because for me, as someone who also does a lot of work around young people, I find sometimes that you sometimes seem like you are weeping more than the bereaved. Sometimes you are even the one more passionate for the change for the young
Yeah,
person
yeah,
than the young person himself. So
yeah.
you're meeting a group of boys and you're telling them, please go to school, it's very important. Please learn a trade, it's very important. Or you're telling young girls, please, oh, we know you want to play love, you want to do Romeo and Juliet, but
Yeah,
don't you think the likes of Ngozi Iweala, they also wanted to play love, but they developed their skills. As a
that's good.
girl, you need to raise your potential, go to school. And then they are like sitting there, like, what is this one talking self? I beg you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what are some of the challenges and how do we begin to surmount them? Because the truth is, no matter how we try, these young people will still want to do what they want to do, and
yeah,
then you're wondering what else is it that we're not hitting the target enough? Is it that we're not making it alluring enough? You give young people opportunities to attend programs and you hear sad stories. Either they are leaving the venue of the program to go partying, or they are pressing their phones 75% of the time. They
yeah.
can't even do a simple report after each training or after each
No, no, no.
exposure you give to them. So you'll be wondering, where have I gone wrong? Or where as an organization have we gone wrong? Because the truth is, you can force a horse to the stream, but you can't
Yeah,
really force it to drink. So
no, you
what are the
can't.
challenges that
Oh,
young organizations face?
Emmanuel, we have a big problem in our hand. It's bigger than we think. It's bigger than we think. We're raising a generation. They call them Generation E.
High tech. Okay.
Not the tech in that, but the entitlement generation. We're raising a generation that have a sense of entitlement, but they are not ready to work for it. it's going to be a problem. I tell people that culture, values define every society. If you want to know if a society is going to prosper or not, just interrogate its basic values, the values they hold sacred. So, Emmanuel, let's do a small analysis. What are the values we hold sacred right now as a nation? What are the values that have been prevalent in the last 10 years as a nation? The values that we hold sacred is a value of monetization, just be rich, just be rich. And if you are rich, then it's okay. Nobody's asking, how did you get the money? And so, somebody said, when money is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But that when character is lost, everything is lost. And it's terrible. So that's why you will see a graduate with a certificate. So what did that mean? Is that for someone to have a certificate as a graduate of a university, what it means that they went to primary school 6 years, went to secondary school 6 years, 12 years, and they went to the university 4 years. Put everything together, that's about 16 years. But with all that 16 years education, they can't write a one-page report. That is the generation we are raising. So it's a problem because the values that we hold sacred is not the value of hard work, is a value of shortcuts, materialism, and monetization. I give you a practical example. I don't know when you finish secondary school, but when I finished secondary school, if you were caught in examination malpractice, the school will discipline you. Then they will send a message to your family. Your family, your dad and your mom will flog you. And if you go to church, they will go and report you to Sunday school. That was my generation, right? When I wrote WAEC, the hall, if a pin fell down, we will hear it. But Mr. Manuel, what is the culture today? The culture today is that secondary schools is part of school fees to add a levy that is contributed to give to the examination, exam, what do they call them? Invigilators. And so
Yeah.
during the WAEC,
Special
I'm
center.
not talking of special center,
Special
Emmanuel.
center.
I'm talking of basic secondary schools now. That is the culture.
Wow.
Basic secondary school. Parents will even ask when they go for admission, will this school ensure that my child pass? Do they allow results, exam answers to be put during exam? The parents will ask the school whether you do it. If you don't do it, they won't put their child in your school. And so the generation we are raising now is a generation that is being told that you don't need to work hard, you don't need to study to get a result. So if from primary GSS 1 to GSS 3, you have been told you don't need to study to pass junior WAEC. Then from SS1 to SS3, you have been told that, look, the standard is that when it's WAEC time, they will come and write the answer on the board. Bro, what is the incentive to study? Why will you study?
True.
There is no incentive to study. And then when you do that and you get a certificate, you enter the university, it is worse. So these kids in the last 10, 12 years have been taught that merit means nothing, that integrity means nothing, that hard work means nothing. Just get a certificate. And then so you are raising a generation that is not competent, that is not employable. The World Economic Forum in 2018 did a ranking on graduate skills around the world. 140 countries were ranked. Nigeria came 134.
Hmm. Hmm.
That means
Second to
lowest,
last.
second to last. In 2018. So, Ima, we have a big, big problem.
Problem.
It's bigger than Boko Haram. It's bigger than whatever you call it. How do you raise a generation of 20, 30 million people? They can't write a one-page letter. It's a problem. And those are the people that are going to be in civil service. Those are the people that are going to be in police. The things we are seeing in SARS, worse things are going to happen in the nearest future, because you have raised a generation you have told that you can take what does not belong to you and nothing will happen. Because that's what you're doing. When a child goes to write exam and they do examination malpractice, he gets a result that does not belong to him. He has taken what doesn't belong to him and is being told is okay. So when he gets into public service, he's going to take public funds that does not belong to him and it's okay. If he gets into the military, he's going to use his military resource, the gun and the uniform, to take from people what doesn't belong to him. If he gets into the police, if he gets into politics, he's going to use that position to take what doesn't belong to him, because that's the orientation in the last 10, 15 years. So we are in big trouble. So it is not you and I, bro. It's not the programs we are doing. No, there is a prevailing social culture that promotes that you can take what does not belong to you and nothing will happen. Look at the drama we see at the National Assembly every time they are doing public hearing. Billions of naira being taken and nothing happens. If you ask the person too much question, he will now faint. He will faint and the public hearing is over. So I mean, we are in a big problem because we've thrown away value. And no nation can grow beyond the values it holds sacred. I know that for sure. And that's why, when I hear them talking about this and that, I'm just asking, what is the prevailing value? Drive on the street. Do you know that people drive against traffic? I live here in Abuja, in Lugbe, and on the airport road. Sometimes people are driving against traffic, putting themselves at risk, putting other commuters at risk, what is that? Impunity. You are taking what does not belong to you with the mindset that nothing will happen. So we really need a value reorientation. And honestly, we need a leadership that can drive that, because leadership is important in this.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll be wrapping up soon, but let me take this message here from Tokkida Semlek, and it says, absolutely an entitlement generation indeed. They don't want to work, but to get rich. It's painful. People don't care about process anymore. Any response to that?
Yes, I mean, so the countries we always admire get to, just let's take an example, Rwanda. Let's not even talk about America. You can't jump queue when you get to the airport. You can't jump queue when you get to the bus stations in Rwanda. I travel to Rwanda nearly every other year. You can't join queue. I don't want to talk about Dubai. I don't want to talk about your stuff will drop in the car and the driver will report it and you will pick it up. Because they care about process, they care about value. There are values they hold sacred as a nation. What are the sacred values our politicians hold? Bro, can you trust a politician? If a politician now tell you come tomorrow by 2, in your mind, do you think you will meet the politician by 2 p.m.? When you plan your event and the politician will deliver a kilo, you will start fasting. That if the event is starting by 11 a.m.,
all night service.
You will start fasting, because they don't hold they don't value what they say. So we are in a very dire situation, and that is how we are raising the next generation. So I'm really worried with what we are modeling to the next generation, because you are telling the next generation that you can do anything and get away with it as long as you have money to hire a son. I don't even have respect for that phrase anymore, son, because it looks like it's the sons that are defending the thieves, the frauds, and the rest of them.
Impunity.
Ganifa will be crying in his grave, because some of the people he mentored are today the ones defending governors and ministers and the rest that embezzle public funds. Even though you are a lawyer, you have the prerogative to defend people. I think somehow your value and your conscience will say, when some people come, you should say, I can't take this case. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I've just been asked to apply for the grants of I mean of over £200,000. And I had a meeting with the guys today, and I told them, I said, there is something there is a part of the project that there is something the project may require us to promote. And I'm not willing to promote that because it goes against my value. It doesn't matter how much it is. Yeah, like yeah, I say yes, I'm not going to do it. I won't apply for the grants. I don't want to be selected because I'm not willing to promote that. We should have values. We should have what we stand for. So we need to raise a generation that should be able to say, I won't do this because it goes against values and principles. But from secondary school and university, we are see, how can you spend 10 years in a space where they are telling you, cheat, pass exam, we will give you certificates, we will celebrate you, and nothing will happen. How do you raise that kind of generation and ask them to build a great nation? Are we joking? Are we joking? Nations are built by people. It's not built by paper. It's not built by policy. It's not built by a constitution. No, it is built by people and what they hold sacred. So we just need to keep pushing these things. We just need to keep talking to young people. But like I said, if you're talking to a young person and as he just opens his Facebook, what he is seeing, they are showing him that you can get away with anything. You can steal public funds and hire a son, and they will defend you. In fact, I've been in a place where they say if you want to steal well. Don't steal
So
small
that I
money.
can
Steal
budget money
so that you can lay aside 20-30%. If you want to steal money,
to
steal
defend
billions
it.
of naira,
Yeah.
and you keep 100 million or 500 million for the son, and you're fine. Bro, how do we grow such a how did we get to such a place as a country? And our leaders haven't done well because it's our leaders that brought us to this point. Because everything begins and ends with leadership. And I
Leadership.
hope we can find leaders who can start standing up and publicly saying, this is wrong, I don't agree with this, and this is not acceptable. These are not the values we hold sacred. I do it every day. Anywhere I go, I'll tell you these are the values I hold sacred. I don't do this. I'm not going to do this. I've never given or taken a bribe, and I'm not going to do it. Even when I beat traffic lights, I prefer you arrest me. I don't beat traffic light, but sometimes maybe you pass and they tell you no, you have beaten traffic light. Me and you will argue till you let me go. But I won't beat traffic light. When I even 10 p.m., 11 p.m. when I'm driving, I get to the traffic light, I stop. It's not about who is watching. Those are my values. My children, my wife, people that know me. I don't throw stuff out of my car. I have values that define me as a person, and I try to push it to people around me, including my office, my team members. It's not about me being available. No, it's about those values. And I believe that for those of
Mm.
us who continue to push these values, we will be the salvation of our nation because no nation will grow beyond the values that it holds sacred.
Wow. Okay. We won't end this interview without me asking you a few things on the girl child empowerment, because the
Yeah.
truth is, whether we talk about gender equity or gender equality, we still must grow the young girls to mature, to become what, to develop and attain the potentials that God has given them. But let me take this message here from one of our regular viewers in Philippines, Asia,
Ah,
Kareem Jackson. So if you can read this from Asia, from Kareem Jackson, please do read for us and respond.
yeah, so Karim says, I agree. However, I also know that today is not about how hard you work, but how smart you work. Today, leverage, tech, influence, vision are all key to success. Yeah, Karim, I agree with you. But even if you're leveraging technology, you got to work hard to develop that skill. So technology can help you work fast, but you need to learn the technology. Learning technology takes time. It's work. It's hard work, right? Whatever skill you want to develop, you can't develop it sleeping. That's the point I'm making. You have to commit time, energy to develop that. If you have vision, you got to commit time to pursue your vision. If you want to build influence, you got to commit time. That is hard work. That is, I hear that you need to put in at least 10,000 hours into your vision or dream to get it to a starting level or at some point of success. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't work smart, but if you work smart and you don't work hard, you're going to have problems. Because the principle of hard work is the principle of diligence, is the principle of putting in the time, the resource that is required to now leverage all of those other things. So you can't throw away hard work. Smart work cannot replace hard work. They go together. Smart work is another way of saying you are innovative, you are creative, but you must do the work. So if you're a student, you can't say smart work is to cheat the system or to use technology. No, yes, whether you're using technology, but you got to read. That is the work. You got to do the work. You got to study. You got to put in time. You got to cover the syllabus to be able to be suitably qualified to pass your exam. So even if the exam will require technology to write the exam, but you need to know the answer. You need to read. You need to study. You need to do research. So I'm saying that is work. And if you don't do that work and you get a particular result, then you've cheated the system, and then we're raising that culture of teaching. So whether it's technology, if tech guys, I know tech guys, they don't even sleep at night. They are busy developing that skill. That's hard work, you know. So I believe that you can't throw away hard work. It can't replace it. There's no replacement. However, you can use smart work, innovation, technology tools, and all of that to scale, to amplify, to leapfrog. That I completely agree. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. And Karim from Philippines, Asia, I hope you enjoyed that. He's always a regular viewer on
Okay.
this
All
program.
right.
And,
Great.
and it, okay, so as we wrap up for my question, I got this one here from Ritchie Felix. He says, smart work cannot replace hard working. Yeah, true,
Yes.
true,
Yes.
true. So,
Emmanuel,
yes.
do you know Richie? You know he's a desk player.
Yeah, okay, he was my set too, right?
I
Okay,
don't know.
yeah,
I don't know which
Richie.
set, but I know he's a desk player.
Yeah,
Great guy.
he is. I
Great guy.
remember
Yeah.
Erisa, myself, and Richie.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can
Okay.
remember Richie.
All right.
Okay, Richie, it's good to see you. Thank you
You need
so
to get him
much
on the
for.
show. He's doing so much in the southeast, in Aba area. He's
Wow.
running seminars and workshops, and so you need to get him on the show one of these days.
Wow. So Richie, if you're hearing right now, please DM me and let's plan a topic and then I'll bring you here, you know. So as we wrap up, sir, I need you to talk a little more on the girl child education in the next couple of minutes so that we can
Yeah.
wrap up.
Yes. So, educating the girl child is not a luxury. It's not an option actually. Because it's like saying you have two hands. You're going to tie one hand. Hmm?
And use
But,
one.
but you need your two hands to function well. Every society is made of male and female, right? And then you need both of them, male, female, for your society to grow. Because each one of them comes with special giftings, talents, peculiarities, sensing, and all of that. I can tell you for the fact that women have more empathy than men. I can say that. I may not know if there is a scientific stuff around it, but women have more empathy than men. And if you now bring empathy into government, do you know what that would do? I'll give you a practical example. If people are designing building a school, if all the people making the decisions are designing to build it and they are men, I can tell you that they won't have enough bathrooms and toilets. Because there is a way men reason. You don't need to enter a toilet to pee. A man does not. A man feels he doesn't need to enter a toilet to pee. But a woman, there is a way they reason. There are things they think about. The same thing if you're trying to build a hospital and all the people making decisions are men, there are certain things that will be missing in that place. But if you have women in your team, I'm telling you, when I go to places and I see things happening, immediately I begin to know whether there are women in decision making or not. Because there are things women bring to the table. It's natural to them. That's how God made them. And so when you provide an education to a child that is female, what are you doing as a nation? What are you doing as a family? you are empowering a very, very vital partner to development. And so when you empower their literacy skill, their writing skill, their critical and cognitive thinking skill, in addition to their natural endowment that God has given them in areas of empathy, in the area of management, in the area of intuition, and then you bring that to play in the national level, your country will develop, you will leverage that potential. So any smart nation that wants to develop must make sure that you pay attention to developing and educating the girl child. Over 130 million girls are out of school in the world. We shouldn't be talking about that. And in Nigeria, it's a big deal. In the Northeast, it's a big deal. I cry every time I see those girls putting stuff on their head going to sell. Those are the mothers of the nation. Those are the women are actually the mothers of the nation. They are responsible for continuity and procreation. The minimum we should do is to give them an education, not just an education, quality education. Today we are celebrating Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. If she did not get an education, are we going to be talking about that? We are celebrating Mrs. Amina Mohammed.
Amina Mohammed, yeah.
Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations of the world. She's the Deputy Secretary General. If she didn't have an education, are we going to be celebrating that? So women are a major, vital, necessary part of development. And we can't leave them behind. We must invest in developing them, providing them education, and then giving them opportunity at a national level to contribute to nation building. They have so much to offer. As an organization, I have a preference for female to play management role. Youngstars Foundation. Yes, so, and if the men want to take me up on it, they are welcome. But in Youngstars Foundation, I'm giving preference to head of admin has to be female. Head of programming, it has to be female. Because there's something they bring to the table. And if I have to transit, I'll be very comfortable handing over Youngstars to a female. They have something they bring to the table. And let me end by saying this. Did you notice that COVID-19, there are about 6-7 countries in the world that their presidents are female. They were one of the countries that managed COVID-19 the best. Maybe we need to men need to become humble. We need to be humble. Even in Nigeria, men have run Nigeria for 60 years. We can see for ourselves the results. I think it's time we give women the chance. Yes, president. It's time to have a female president. Let's allow women run the country for the next 10 years. Let's see. Because men have run the country for the past 60 years. See where we are as a nation. We've not had a female vice president. We've not had a female president. We've not had a female Senate president. The one that tried in House of Rep, they didn't even let us breathe and all of that.
They shook the table.
They say cutting because of cutting. Whatever, cutting. I'm not saying if you did wrong, no, I'm not going to condone that and all of that. But see, men have run this country. And let me tell you, if women run nations, you won't have wars.
Yeah.
Men want to fight war. They start fighting.
And show their strength, yeah.
There is so much about having women in political space because there is a nature they have, you know. So I'm canvassing for women presidents. We need to have women presidents, women governors. You know, most of these states that are suffering, they need governors. They will need a female. Abia State, they need a female governor, you know, to transform that nation. All the male governors have failed. And I can go across different states. The men governors have failed many states. It's time to have women governors. It's time to have women presidents. It's time to have women ministers and women VCs and all of that. So I'm pro-woman. I'm pro-woman, very pro-woman, and I have no apologies about it. And I'm speaking from experience, how women can manage opportunities, resources, and all of that. So I hope you are joining me, Ima. Vote for women. Let's vote for women.
I will pray about it.
See, Ima,
let me be spiritual.
What are you praying about?
I want to be spiritual. Martin
What are
will
you
say,
praying
let her be
about?
led.
You want to pray? Haven't you seen the problem men have caused in the past 60 years in Nigeria? 60 years of men leadership and we don't have lights. 200 million people managing 5,000 megawatts. That's the result of 60 years of male leadership. Anyway, because some men will come to my office today and bundle me.
As well. Okay, thank you so much, Kingsley.
Yeah.
I'll give you 30 seconds to say your greetings, your felicitations to anyone you would want to as we wrap up the show right now.
Of course, my one and only, my first lady, my wife, great woman, highly intelligent. You know, I used to say my wife is more intelligent than I am. Very cerebral, high thinker, and all of that. I swam across several oceans, travel across several states, travel across several mountains from Jos to Cross River to capture her, and then I gave my all to win her heart. So I want to celebrate her today. She runs the North 100 Naira Day School. My girls and members of my team and all of that. And thanks, Ima, also for giving me this platform to come today to air my thoughts and all of that. Let's keep faith. Let's keep faith. This decade gives us an opportunity to transform our nation.
Mm, mm. Thank you so much for that. And well, this is the size of the program that we can have today. My guest has been Mr. Kingsley Bangwell. He's an ASHOKA fellow. He's also the founder of Youngstars Foundation, and he's based in Abuja, Nigeria. I want to thank everyone who joined us on the show today, the Tuesday's edition. If you enjoyed what you listened to, let's do it again on Saturday when we'll be doing a fresh edition. We've been broadcasting live from Maiduguri since last week, just trying to give succor to some people in the IDP camps. And pray for us. We still keep enjoining your prayers, for safety and all that. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and thanks for joining us. Let's do this again on Saturday. And thanks to everyone who joined us, to Ritchie, to Kareem, to Muzamil, everyone who joined us and dropped a comment for our guests. We truly, truly appreciate. And like I always say when I end the show, I want to thank everyone who's always supported us in each episode. Sometimes they don't also let us call their names, giving us data, making sure that every week we are able to stream each episode. Thank you so much. We really don't take your assistance and support for granted. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so this is the size of the program. Till I see you again, God bless you all and have a beautiful Tuesday.